JD Vance overcame unfair moderators and destroyed Tim Walz, a true test of leadership under fire. In what should have been a fair vice presidential debate between JD Vance and Tim Walz, something unexpected happened. The moderators, who were supposed to stay neutral, broke the rules by fact-checking JD Vance while letting Tim Walz get away without the same level of scrutiny. But what could have been a setback for Vance turned into something much more significant, a clear demonstration of his leadership under fire. JD Vance entered the debate ready to stand on his own merits, prepared to debate his opponent directly, as any candidate should. The rules were simple. The moderators would ask questions, the candidates would answer, and it was up to each candidate to challenge the other's claims. That's how a debate works. Each side fact-checks the other. But instead of letting the candidates do their jobs, the moderators intervened, fact-checking Vance multiple times in violation of the debate format. This wasn't a small error, it was a blatant display of bias. By fact-checking JD Vance but not applying the same scrutiny to Tim Walz, the moderators sent a clear message. They were there to help Walz. But even more damaging, they took away an essential part of the debate process, allowing the voters to see how each candidate could handle criticism and challenge their opponent's points. This violated the fundamental principle taught in any high school or college debate, the ability to argue both sides of an issue, regardless of personal belief. In standard debate formats, facts don't automatically determine the winner. What matters is how well a debater can argue their side and, more importantly, how skillfully they can counter their opponent's points without outside help. The moderators, in fact checking Vance, removed Walz's responsibility to challenge Vance's claims on his own. If Walz had a better grasp of the facts or superior debating skills, he should have been able to counter Vance's arguments masterfully, without intervention. Yet, despite the moderator's interference, JD Vance held his ground. He stayed composed even as they interrupted him and ultimately muted his microphone when he tried to protest. This wasn't just unfair, it was an attempt to silence Vance to make sure Walz wouldn't be held accountable for his weak performance. But Vance's ability to maintain control and composure even while facing biased moderators was a testament to his leadership. He didn't crumble, he didn't lash out, he called out the injustice calmly and stood firm. Meanwhile, Tim Walz, who had the moderators on his side, failed to demonstrate the same strength. With every opportunity to counter Vance on his own, he fell short. When the moderators fact-checked Vance, Walz didn't capitalize on it. He let them do the heavy lifting for him. This exposed a fundamental weakness in Walz. He couldn't handle the debate without help. The moments that should have been his to prove himself were instead handed to him by the moderators, and he still couldn't rise to the occasion. Leadership is about handling tough situations, about being able to stand your ground when the odds are against you. And in that debate, JD Vance proved he has what it takes to lead. Walz, on the other hand, showed he couldn't perform, even when given an unfair advantage. And let's be clear, this wasn't just a slip-up by the moderators. This was a calculated effort to protect Walz, to ensure that his shortcomings weren't fully exposed. But in the end, it only highlighted how much stronger Vance was as a candidate. If the role of vice president and potentially president is to lead under pressure, to make decisions when the stakes are high, then this debate was a preview of what kind of leadership we can expect from each candidate. JD Vance stood tall, undeterred by bias, while Tim Walz faltered, even with the safety net of biased moderators. And this brings us to a broader point. JD Vance isn't just more prepared than Tim Walz to take on the responsibilities of vice president. He's also more prepared than Kamala Harris. We've seen Harris in debates before, and she too has benefited from favorable moderators who fact-checked her opponents and gave her an easy out when she stumbled. But JD Vance doesn't need rescuing. He doesn't need a biased moderator team to prop him up. He's proven that he can handle the heat, stay composed, and win on his own merit. This debate wasn't just a contest between Vance and Walz, it was a test of leadership. And JD Vance passed with flying colors, proving himself not only the best candidate in that room, but also showing why he's the better choice to lead this country.